Wow.
Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped. Something.
I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny. I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things. Of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
Yeah, I did some checking in with all the, kind of vigilant parts that I didn't quite know were so active, but they are. And we'll see what happens.
Okay. You were saying that you didn't know they were active, but then today, just today, you were finding how active they were?
No, I think, no, I knew they were. I mean, I've been talking about them from the get-go, right? In the whole process of I got to get right and, two steps ahead and all that stuff. But I think that I can't quite remember now, but when it was something I said about the last call where, maybe it was just me being kind of in the moment, sort of thinking why is this thing with my dad come up? And I'm always thinking, is this coming from thinking or is this coming from following a kind of a deeper thread?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I've realized is just kind of how much I'm just sort of managing my own communication all the time with everyone, not just with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So I knew that was going on, but I didn't realize to what extent it was going on. So that's kind of been the eye opener. And yeah, I mean, that's sort of what happened, 2 calls ago, but also on other times, sometimes right after, there's just a part that always tells me that I've got communication wrong, that I've made some sort of mistake and I've, blown it somehow. And, but there's a lot of different voices around communication and getting it right and stuff like that. So, so I have been talking to those as many as I can identify, or, and just inviting them to, relax and see what happens.
And how'd they respond?
I don't know. I don't know. It's not often that I feel like a part is talking to me. I do feel like I'm getting much better at noticing them, and even noticing them when there's kind of two in one moment, But yeah, it seemed fine when I made that invitation. Anyway, we'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like to start with a minute of meditation?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. I'll set a timer.
Mm-hmm.
So, got any parts that you'd like to get to know better?
Yeah, I did have a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of ideas yesterday, but now I don't really remember any of that. But I guess, since we were, since I was sort of tuning into hypervigilance, I think that was a good way to go. And yeah, I could sort of feel like little tremor in my lip that I get sometimes when I talk thoughts with you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, what popped into my mind, maybe because I was thinking about it yesterday, was just all this hypervigilance that kind of got built up around any and every communication around my mom. I mean, with her and to her, and yeah, I guess I think it's just, I don't know if that's what's spilling over into my self-editing or whatever, but it's just kind of, I guess it's just quite strong in my system in general.
Yeah. When you say it got built up, are you talking about recent stuff or are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about old stuff.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I noticed when I was on the phone, I might have mentioned this yesterday to you by text, when I was on the phone with my mum, since I had to put my dog down, I had sent her a text message, and I don't know, she was kind of skirting around it, although I thought I had made it really clear. And anyway, then I had to spell it out for her, and she was like, "Oh, I didn't want to believe it." But I just noticed how much in that call, like I didn't have any emotion up near the surface. Whereas like with pretty much anyone else, either I was just avoiding them and not answering the phone, or kind of not talking to certain neighbors that I just not up for talking to. But there was plenty of people that I just kind of burst into tears, and it was pretty raw. But with my mom, she wanted to know all the details, and like I was just, no emotion at all. And that's just because like I just constantly had to kind of felt I had to watch out for her responses to things, and how much she would be thrown off, or I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
That came up for me during that minute.
Okay. And that is the one that has the lip tremor feeling?
Oh, I don't know. I've felt that one before. I think I might have, I don't know. I've noticed that one a couple of times or more when we've spoken.
Okay.
But
would it be useful to check that out? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just keep listening in to that sensation.
Mm-hmm.
Just see if it feels like it's connected to the feeling you get when you're being hypervigilant with your mom.
I actually don't think it's necessarily connected with speaking to her. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't feel like I'm holding anything back with her. I just feel like I'm being like this kind of tough as nails person, solid as a rock person, that I'm not necessarily. That's not really me, but that I had to be with her.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to repeat back what I'm hearing, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying that you're not holding back with her. But you were also saying, that's what you just said. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I just feel like I'm not kind of pushing anything down. It's just not there when I'm with her. Yeah.
Okay. And the lip tremor ring thing, that's happened when you're speaking with me?
Yeah, I notice it a lot when I'm just when I'm trying to talk about parts, which I've only really done with you. I mean, unless it's, my own stuff.
Okay.
Mm.
Does that sensation feel familiar? Does that come up at other times?
I have noticed it here and there, but I can't really find a pattern.
Okay. Would it be all right if we spend a moment with that one, just since it's up right now, or was up right now? Okay. So, what else do you notice about the sensations around it?
It's just kind of stopped now that I've honed in on it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's just very tiny and very rapid. And I mean, it reminds me of what might be happening if I was trying to kind of hold back emotion. But I definitely, it's not that I've noticed it when in that way when we've been speaking. I've just noticed it popping up a bunch of times. And the first time might have been when we had that call where I talked a lot about my mom and the puppeteer. Or maybe I noticed it. I don't know. I should look at my. Anyway, I when I listened back to that call might have been when I really noticed it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So you said it kind of got quiet when you paid attention to it just now?
But it's back.
Okay. How do you feel towards it?
I do feel curious.
Great. I am also curious.
Yeah.
Will you let it know that we're curious? And try asking what it wants you to know.
I'm just going to take a bit more time.
Okay.
Let the interferences sort of settle.
Okay.
Okay, so I definitely have the part that's kind of going, say something, say something.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And um, and I had a thought about so a bunch of times seven or has come up, 7 or 6, and I'm always like, I don't know what happened at that time.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so we did. And this, of course, like there's a skeptical part saying this is only because of, my dog this week and what's happened and whatever. But we did very briefly have a puppy. I mean, this dog that's just died, I've described as like the dog I never got as a kid, and really, 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 was like the only thing I really wanted, truly, or maybe not the only thing, but very powerful kind of wish for me. And at one point, we adopted this puppy from the farm at the end of the road, and it lasted, I think, just a few days. And my parents gave it up because they realized it was a bad decision, and I don't remember too much about it, but I remember like as a sort of a thing that was talked about afterwards, that I kind of I got very shut down, and yeah. So when that came up, of course, a part is saying like, well, you're just saying that because whatever.
Okay.
But basically, yeah,
Mhm.
that just assume that it's worth checking out.
Yeah. So we could try checking it out with the lip tremoring part.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have something it wants you to know or have a connection with the puppy?
Mm. Well, the sensation does get a bit stronger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It might be related. Feels like it might be related.
It feels like it might be. I think in some ways, part of what's going on for me is me just kind of, or a part just kind of like psyching me out, that I'm not going to hear a response because they're not sort of nice and loud and clear. So that's almost always going on if I pause and get quiet and ask a question.
Uh-huh.
And when I listen back to the calls, I do feel like, yeah, there's things coming up, there's things floating up. So I'm just trying to, get used to that kind of constant voice of doubt and have it. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, they sound like some of the parts that are doing that interfering. You have the say something part, the one that says, "Oh, this is only coming up because the recent stuff with the dog," and another one saying, psyching you out, saying you're not going to hear a response.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Do any of those feel particularly strong and like they need our attention, or how do they respond if you just ask them for a little time and space?
Yeah. Let me see. I did get some new sensations, but I don't think that it's any one of those parts kind of piping up. I think they are that sort of regular noise, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And actually, they did quiet down a bit, but then I got these slightly different sensations up in my forehead.
Okay.
Mm.
And what do you know or notice about those sensations in the forehead?
Really, just again that they're quite familiar. They have almost every time I try to connect with parts, or even sometimes just get quiet. And I really haven't been able to kind of. I did at the beginning thought like, oh, well, this is this one and this is this one, but I don't. I haven't really. Don't feel confident about that.
How do you feel towards the sensations in the forehead?
Very curious.
Great.
Just because they're like, so it feels so party.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let it know you're curious.
Yeah.
I'm also very curious.
Yeah. Oh, right. And the lip thing comes back when I say that. It's like, me too, me too. Yeah.
Me too. It wants your attention too. It wants you to be curious about it.
I'm guessing. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. We can let it know that this is part of the process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because you have these other parts that come up when we turn our attention to it.
Yeah, we haven't forgotten it.
Yeah, we haven't forgotten it. We know it's important. It comes up in a lot of our conversations. So just let it know that we can still aim for it and still intend to get to know it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it all right with that?
Yeah. I'm going to say yes. Yeah.
Okay. I've made a note.
Yeah.
To revisit it. Okay, sensations in the forehead.
Mm-hmm.
What's their message? What do they want you to know? Or for me to know. Any of these parts can just speak to me if they'd like.
It would be so great if they would just do that.
I feel like that would be easier.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to invite any and all of them. I want to make a safe, non-judgmental place for them. I feel like I'm in that place now, and that any part could speak to me, and I would want to welcome it and hear what's going on for it.
Well, when I take that in, I feel like I connect with this kind of this fear or this kind of sense that would never happen. like just to speak, to sort of speak, to let a thought speak directly to you in that way.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know why, except that it kind of loops back to, that kind of idea of being voiceless, or and that tension between kind of like not being able to say anything and then saying everything, and kind of and when I say everything, I don't mean like kind of more detail than I meant to, but just times when like it's like there's just like a kind of deluge of detail, or of like everything, is just sort of tumbling.
Is there sadness with that fear? Is it like, does it feel sad about thinking that wouldn't be possible for parts to speak with me? Just trying to understand the flavor of that.
Yeah. I think it's more like discourage, or like a sense that, and you remember my triangles, like I haven't looked at them for a while, but I know that at the tip of several of them, there was just this kind of sense that it could never happen. It can't happen. Can't do it. And I think maybe that would be closer than sadness. But we could, of course, have the muffler part in there somewhere,
Okay.
But it's quite strong for me. And at times I've wondered, like, how I've said, like, I can just sort of sometimes feel like I feel the exile energy more easily. I mean, that one is behind so many things. So the kind of cut part that I was talking about last time, sort of stopping me from doing things, and a bunch of other things. There's just this kind of sense of like, no, it can't, that it can't happen. I can't do it. So I think it would be more about that.
You could try this question and see if it's useful, and if not, we can move on. You could try asking the part, what if you could? Like, what would be its concern, if any, if you were able to just have parts speak to me?
Okay, sort of two things, and maybe they're on different layers or levels. One, well, we just don't know who they are. And two, being, something about being out of control, like not having, like when you've made that offer in the past, you've said sometimes like, the part can speak directly to me. I think there's always this little quick thought of like, no, there's a part of me that just kind of will control that. Well, it won't be like, it just like the door won't open. So what's the fear?
The fear is being out of control?
I think so. I think that's a fair. Yeah.
And what can we hear more about what that fear, like what that's like?
Mm-hmm.
Or what would be so bad about that?
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting anything?
I think it's bringing me back to this fear of emptiness.
Fear of emptiness.
Mm-hmm. Like there's just nothing in there.
Just a partless system.
Yeah, exactly, right. But it has come up before, and I think it's kind of what's behind, that sort of say something, because there might be nothing. It definitely came up a few calls ago, like the radio silence kind of, yeah, like,
and just so I understand, is this a fear that nothing comes out of your mouth, or is this a fear that you don't have parts with feelings?
mm-hmm. I was going to say both. The second one, I haven't sort of thought it quite like that, but just that the way inside leads to like nothing.
I wonder if there's a part that feels like I'm nothing.
I do think so, because
okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can also, I didn't get any specific memories, but something that comes up quite a lot, and I feel like it just came up, was like, I've used the word voiceless, and what kind of sense of like being a small person and nothing, not being able to say anything, and then other people just speaking for me. And so, yeah. Which is really different from nothing, but it starts with nothing.
Well, I would want to learn more about that. I wouldn't assume it starts with nothing.
No, I mean,
sounds
starts with nothing being said. Starts with like being kind of stuck, to not know what to say, or to be. It starts with that moment of. Starts with
then,
nothing.
And then other people speak for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what your parts are doing. They're speaking.
Like they're saying,
speaking to keep this one from speaking.
Yeah, maybe.
Check it out. See if that feels gets accurate at all.
So,
because I could be wrong, and I don't want to speak for your system.
No, I know. So to do that, I would just be saying, like, is there a concern that
you'd be asking if parts feel like that's true, or if this one that feels like it's nothing and voiceless feels like, yeah, other people speak over me or for me, and this part or you can just feel into, is this also happening in my system when these other protective parts are jumping up to speak because they're not comfortable with this part that feels like nothing, its feelings or whatever it has to offer.
Okay, so what I'm getting now is something that kind of sounds a bit different, but maybe it's connected. So let me run it by you. It's kind of the sense of like needing to jump in with an answer when in a like needing to say something
because otherwise they're nothing feeling.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe, but it's kind of sort of claiming some space, claiming some airspace. So it's just like I guess it's the same thing as doing. It's like preempting the nothing feeling.
Well, that would make a lot of sense to me.
Okay. It is. It is connected, but I just can't quite like feel the dynamics yet.
Okay. What I'm sensing is a part that says it needs to jump in. It needs to fill the space because of that feeling of nothing, that feeling of fear of emptiness.
Again, there's doubting parts here, but I'm remembering a dynamic, and it has come up in my mind quite a bit recently, but I'm remembering a dynamic where I would sort of feel I had to weigh in to a conversation that my dad might be having with my brother, and I kind of show what I know and just kind of hang in there, even though
And why was that important? Ask the part. Why did it feel it had to weigh in with your dad and your brother? What would happen if it didn't?
Oh, I had to be seen and kind of put my foot in the door and not be the kind of silent, the nothing person.
Yeah. And how was that for you to have to get in like that?
How was it for me?
Yeah. When you're trying to speak up in the conversation between your dad and your brother to claim space, did it feel like
it felt like I had to impress? I had to know stuff because I feel like this was, for whatever reason, a lot around kind of knowing stuff and sort of try to hold my own, and it usually, there's
What did
this,
it? Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did it feel like to be in that situation, trying to hold your own? Was it fun?
Oh no, not at all. I mean,
Wasn't fun at all.
No, it was.
So it was kind of difficult.
Yeah, it was like
Okay.
it was like I had this role, or was perceived in this certain way that didn't feel right to me, and I had to redress it. I had to kind of like just keep climbing up this ladder, and usually it wasn't really like I didn't really get in there anyway. You know.
Yeah. So you put a lot of energy into that, into climbing up that ladder, and it still didn't feel like it.
I feel like it. I just feel like I think I would like have this connection with my dad in different ways, a very sort of affectionate, just based on affection and based on, other things. And I was trying to sort of break into this other track of communication and know stuff and be more of a, be more worthwhile, to show my worth somehow.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So you did have a relationship that felt like there was some affection there, but what you didn't have was this other type of worthiness feeling with your father.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
okay.
Like more to do with knowing stuff, and I had this big fixation on knowing stuff. Like knowing stuff and knowing the answers to stuff, and I think it's because he used to sort of. Like my brother was just had a sort of, I don't know, photographic memory, or would just they would engage in a way that I just couldn't kind of fit into.
Yeah. Okay. So by you getting in those conversations, trying to climb that ladder, you were hoping to receive some of that recognition and some of that recognition for a part that didn't feel worthy.
And also a sense of competence somehow, and
right.
Like a and
you didn't really enjoy that. It wasn't a fun thing for you.
No, it didn't, because I don't think I ever really succeeded to kind of get into those conversations, I was the one that would like be kind of lovey-dovey with him when he had that, when that was the vibe,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see why you would do that. It makes total sense to me. It sounds tough. It sounds really hard to have a part that doesn't feel worthy, and to feel like you have to kind of hustle for that and work for that to prove your competence and intelligence and earn the feeling of being worthy.
Yeah. And especially is I mean, I was so super bonded with my dad. In ways,
felt like it was missing that other side of things.
Well, in ways that I just wasn't with my mom. Like I could I only realized this looking back, but I could not get anything like that I needed from my mom. That kind of recognition.
So that made it even harder, right? So this was this was the only avenue between your two parents where you would be able to get that, was maybe you could get that with your dad because you had that closer bond with him. So if you would do that work in that relationship, you could feel that part that felt not so worthy would feel more worthy.
Yeah, or just you know, it was like the sense of, you know, I don't know whether it was about being, you know, my brother being a little bit older and just sort of always feeling kind of behind and always feeling like having, you know, like I wasn't quite, couldn't do stuff. It was around that whole.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah.
And that feeling sucks. Right?
Yeah, totally. And, and, I mean, I'm jumping back to that ski hill thing now. Do you remember that?
Will you tell me before you go there? And I do want to know, when you're picturing being at the table, how old are you in that?
Yeah.
Or what are the earliest times that you're remembering that?
Very little. 4 or 5. I don't know. Like starting school, maybe. You know, there was maybe some excitement around starting school. I don't really remember, but I do remember, this is just coming up for me now, like in the early, maybe first year at school. So this is a kind of, I'd have to ask my brother every time I'm trying to clarify a memory. I ask him.
It's okay. I just wanted to know how old you felt in that scene when you were remembering.
But this thing that just came up is being in the class, and I think that I was like one of the youngest ones, and there was not just like one age in the classroom, right? And there was like some book catalog coming around, and that we could order books, and it was just deemed that like I was too young to know what I wanted, so that's sort of this and this, and that to me, that I think that just came up because it's a very exemplar kind of memory of like, okay, she doesn't know, she never says anything, or she's too young or whatever. And so that came from maybe not my brother, but peers and other kids, but it often felt like it came from adults as well. Like I would just kind of shrink away and somebody would say like, oh, she's this or she's that, or.
Got it.
Yeah, that's why I think that came up, and I think it's all connected. Yeah.
Sounds very connected. Did you want to share about the ski thing?
Oh.
Because I don't recall the details, and if they feel.
No, it's just okay. So that whole experience we talked about was like I was just kind of left on this little ski lift to figure it out, and there was no one around, like no parent or adult in charge of me, like no connected adult to me. So kept getting on and falling off and getting on and falling off. And
how old?
I think sort of 6-ish.
Okay.
We talked about it once, and yeah, when I think about these things, I just feel like I don't remember any moments where like the memory is like, yay, I did it, I figured it out. It was always not knowing how to do stuff and not being able to keep up, or not, it was.
How's it feel for you to just be sharing all this with me right now? Just in the past 5 or 10 minutes?
Okay, let me see if the muffler is active now, because my first response is like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it sounded like it was kind of coming pretty naturally from you. Like,
yeah, okay.
I didn't detect a lot of like discomfort or holding back in what you were sharing.
Oh no, I don't. I feel fine with it.
It feels comfortable for you to be sharing that with me.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
James, there's just still this like constant knocking on the door. Like, well, you think about all this stuff. You've thought about this stuff a million times, so that's why it's coming up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's seeking whether it's genuine or whatever. So that is always there.
Okay, but those things all happened, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And you really did have those feelings of wanting to get in the conversation in a part that didn't feel like it quite had the worth from your father. You did have those feelings of feeling like you couldn't do stuff, or that there was no one around to help you figure it out, or that you were too young to even know what you wanted.
Yeah, it does. But but that doubting part says, or am I just going on memories and how they've kind of been shaped over time? Because am I trying to make sense of how I feel now from those things? That's what that part says.
Okay, welcome that part.
Yeah.
I would be really surprised if that's what was just happening.
Yeah.
Because that sounded like really genuine sharing of some feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And one way that, I mean, it's hard for me to like explain why I feel that way, but there was a lot of times where you're saying like, I felt this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it sounded like you were really in touch with those feelings. It sounded to me like I was speaking to parts of you, which I'm delighted about. I love hearing from parts. So I want to leave that door open too, that okay, maybe you are just playing a record back, and these aren't really parts speaking, and whatever else the doubting part is sharing, I'm open to that, and I want to welcome it too. But I would be surprised, just giving my personal perspective.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, so there was this like craving for my dad's attention, and there wasn't that much of it. It would kind of show up at certain times. It would show up at like, he would read to us sometimes, and there was like this kind of need that could never be satisfied.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing.
And then so to jump back into more recent stuff, like, because I told you about my call with the dog. When I called my dad called me just a few days ago, and
can we not jump back into more recent stuff? Would that be okay?
Sure.
I'll tell you why. It's just I feel like I was really learning a lot from a part, and there's just some kind of follow up I wanted to do with that. And the more recent stuff might be really relevant and really also important to know. Well, but there's just a couple. Go ahead.
All I was going to say was that I kind of made this little decision to not to notice the performing that I've talked about, which so that basically still goes on. Yeah, so that's all. But and I'm just saying, I feel like in a way, without realizing, I was just constantly kind of jumping through these hoops and trying to be this, impress him in one way or another. And
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
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 I'm still, yeah.
Okay. So this is a part that performs. This is a part that tries to speak up. This is the part that you were calling being at the table with your dad and your brother.
Yeah, I don't think we were at the table. I don't know where that came from, but it might be maybe driving or I don't know.
It doesn't.
Doesn't matter.
It was there, right? And it's still there. It makes sense. It makes sense to have that part. It makes sense for it to work hard or to have so much energy. It makes sense what it's trying to protect you from or trying to earn and work for.
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
It's a valuable part. It's there for a good reason.
Yeah, it was trying to hang on to some kind of he was the stability and the security, and he was where love. Yeah.
Right.
It was
How does it feel? How does it feel for that part, for me to acknowledge it and to show my appreciation for it and my understanding of why it does what it does?
It feels good. I'm kind of, I think I'm just part of me thinking that's just one part, you know.
It's at least one part.
Yeah. I did just get this image of like kind of a rope just kind of trying to hang on to this rope, you know.
Yeah.
Hang on to this connection.
Yeah. Sounds like a really tough thing. And this part works hard for.
Yeah.
And when you said, is that just one part? Well, the other part that is becoming more clear to me is the one who did have those feelings of voiceless, nothing, not worthy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Will you just let the parts know that they make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
To the one who works hard and climbs that rope, climbs that ladder, what would it rather be doing if it didn't have to do that? If those feelings of not being worthy were changed or healed, how would it rather be using its energy?
It would like for things to be easy and just kind of unfold.
I would like to relax.
Yeah, but also discover and do things on my own.
Yeah.
My own, like, not trying to kind of fit into these other shoes or be this, you know, I would just like to go off and find stuff out. And I mean, I have a sense that this kind of comes back to learning and how
Right. It would like to kind of be learning without having to prove its worthiness based on that learning.
Yeah, not try to impress anyone or be like, oh yeah, I know that, you know, and not
yeah, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Great. How old does this part think that you are?
I think 6 again.
Okay. Okay. That makes a lot of sense why it would think that to me. Will you update it with your real age? and update it with the model, the powers that you can talk to parts, parts can talk to you, parts can talk to me, I can talk to parts. And that we want to.
Let me take a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't have a super strong sense of these parts.
What parts? I mean, sorry.
The one that was trying all the time, climbing the rope.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I do, but when it comes to like, oh, tell the part, update the part with your age, and it's like, oh, who's there? I did get a couple of pictures of me kind of as a kid.
So you tried to update the part with your age.
Yeah, and then it's like, like, where is it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where it went, but
no, it's
I know where it was. It was here.
Yeah, it's just not this like clear presence. It's more of a stream of ideas and words coming, and
yeah, that's what parts are. They're just streams of feelings and ideas.
Yeah.
That's what we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. And then the one, because I think you said update these parts, or the one that is like feels things stick in the throat and just silent, and people speak for it, and
I'm sorry, I didn't follow. Can you say that again?
Well, we were kind of talking about two parts, right?
Yes.
And I thought that you said update these parts about your real age, or maybe not. But I went first with the one that's trying all the time.
Yes, that's if I did. Yeah. I was intending to just speak with that one for now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know that I get a response or how aware that it is of me.
Great. That's fine. That's fine. I learned a lot about this part.
I also was slightly, about, I don't know how many minutes ago, at one point you said, how does it feel for this part to be talking with me, right?
Yes.
And I was like, fine, it feels okay. And I realized somewhere around that time, maybe a little after, maybe already after I started answering, I realized there is a little agitation in my body, like a little kind of just maybe slightly more heart rate, or I noticed that somewhere along the line. And then
Okay, noticing.
Mm, um, and it's maybe calmed down. I don't feel like that sort of stillness that I sometimes feel. It's a little jangly. Everything's a little jangly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Is that because this part was feeling comfortable talking with me, and because we were learning some things about a part that didn't feel worthy, and because we were kind of disproving the doubting parts, or the parts that say that think that this isn't real or whatever? Is that because it was going fast, not in a bad way, but you were flowing, and I wonder if there were other parts saying like, whoa, 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 what's happening here? This is
maybe I can't really link that feeling with the doubters or whatever, but it's just like, yeah, sometimes I get this sense that like, there's a space that we've created that I try to create, and there's a kind of like there's a tension. There's like, oh, there's something going on here. Who's
of course.
Yeah, so it's kind of that, almost like
of course. Because just couldn't be more normal.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of parts, as do we all. You can wear a bunch of different masks, faces, depending on which of them is up. And then there's the exiles. And those are the faces that we don't show people. Does it feel like to you that there is an exile? Does it feel like to you that there is a part in you, perhaps around the age 4 or 5, that still has a burden of not feeling worthy? Still feels like she can't do stuff.
Yeah, it does feel like that for sure. But do I feel anything right now?
That's it. I just was looking for that yes or no.
I know. No, okay. Well, that's the thing. I'm kind of answering you from two places, right? I'm like, yeah, for sure. It's always coming up. It's constantly coming up. And yet right now in this moment,
yeah, I'm just trying to establish where we are, and if we're talking to the parts or learning about the parts that I think that we're learning about. And I'm very open to being wrong about any of my assumptions, and I really appreciate the information and the stories and the feelings that these parts have shown me.
I'm just going to take a bit of quiet time, see what I feel and what's there, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do feel some kind of just like a sinking sensation in my throat. a heaviness.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Is there some sadness about just acknowledging these parts? Yeah. Or that exile part?
Yeah, there is.
Mm-hmm. Does it feel like too much?
No.
Okay.
No, it feels just a little distant in a way.
Okay.
A little,
That's fine. That's
yeah.
fine. I'm not going to recommend that we get much closer right now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If anything, what came to my mind is that we send a message through that distance, that we see it, that we notice it,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that it matters, that there are adults here,
Mm.
that we care, and that we're not going to forget about this part. That we'll keep working to get to know her.
Mm. Yeah, there is just a lot of empty space right now.
Okay.
Which wasn't there before, so whereas
Okay.
it feels different, yeah. And yeah, it's like something's I want to say given way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like I'm in just a different sort of landscape. Mm.
And that's not the same kind of fear of emptiness feeling, right? It's a different.
No, it's different. Yeah.
Got it. Just checking.
Yeah, just like no edges, no, like a almost like a moonscape kind of like weird.
Yes. Yes. How about all those protectors that were being noisy earlier? That feel like you got some space from them?
Yeah.
Yep.
What? There's still a little bit of a hum up at the top there, but
Right. Right.
yeah. Yeah.
Nice. That's the space.
Mm.
Comes from acknowledging parts and getting them to acknowledge you.
Yeah. It feels um it does feel very like outer spacey.
Yeah.
like there's nobody here except us.
Yeah. And I feel that too.
Mm.
Because earlier when you were talking about like a part has a fear that the parts can't speak to me, I was kind of thinking, oh, your parts have been speaking to me in every conversation.
Yeah.
It's quite different from this space where it's a lot quieter. You're not feeling pushed and pulled.
Yeah, I'm not feeling pushed and pulled. I'm just kind of drifting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think it's something that as you have more experience with, if it'll feel less and less far out,
Mm.
It's like, oh, I can get to this reliably. I can reliably get space from my parts.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I've been here once before, or once or twice before.
Mm-hmm.
That when it came like just kind of almost suddenly and accidentally a few weeks ago, and I just had this kind of sense like, oh, I'm a galaxy.
That's right.
Yeah.
You certainly are.
Yeah. And then of course I tried to get there again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Did that exile get the message that we weren't going to forget about her?
I'm not sure. I don't.
Okay.
I could
It's all right.
and try it again. It's almost like
Do you have curiosity and or compassion towards that part of you?
when you ask that, there's maybe a trying part or some other part going like, find the thing that you find, the entity, find the part, and then can I connect with this kind of empty sense of dark? Yeah, that's can I feel curiosity towards that, like towards the space where there might be a hiding part? Yeah, that's easier.
Okay. Well, okay. Rather than we need to find the part.
Yeah.
We already found the part. Like we already know some things about this part. You already know those feelings, and you're able to flesh it out a little more in this conversation. So I'm not saying, now let's get the part right in your hands right now. I'm just saying, kind of more in general, when you think about that part of you, the part that doesn't feel worthy, that feels voiceless. Do feelings of curiosity and or compassion come up? Yeah, great. Me too. And so that's what we're trying to send through that galaxy of yours. Even if we can't pinpoint where it lands and any of that, it's just kind of emanating that warmth. And if we don't know if she receives it, that's okay. If you don't get that ping back, that's okay.
Yeah, it's just a sense of filling up space with some sort of energy.
Yep. How would it feel to thank all of the parts that we've met along the way
Yeah.
And let them know, again, even if it doesn't feel certain because you haven't really gotten to know them, that they do all make sense.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Mm-hmm.
listen to them, you'll find that they all make sense.
Mm.
And that in your galaxy there's room for all of them.
Mm. Yeah, I've sometimes been picturing this like green sort of circular space. It's much more kind of, it's not foresty, but it's got plants around it and grass and so on. That's been coming up, and that's so different from this like outer spaciness. And I know I could just have both, but
Yeah.
it's almost like if I'm kind of trying to say like, okay, here I am. Anyone need me or come talk to me? It's like I kind of picture more this like circle, greenery and stuff.
I have one more note that I promised to follow up on, and that is regarding the part that has the lip tremoring.
It's not there right now.
Okay.
What's coming and going?
Does it have anything it wants to share with us, or anything it needs from you or me? Any requests?
Let me see. Yeah, it just wants to speak. Like not necessarily right now, but
okay.
Yeah, like that that thing on the I can't get into my words, but I can picture the thing on the old fashioned record player.
Sure.
Yeah, that that funnel kind of thing that the sound comes out of.
Yeah.
That's there. It kind of wants.
It wants to speak, but not right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, does it want to speak right now?
I have time, and I also want it to know that it could speak just to you if it doesn't want me to hear it.
Let me sit with it a moment.
Great.
Okay. I think I'm getting a sense that it doesn't use words.
Okay.
And also that there's like a need to kind of get underneath all this fog.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'll be able to hear it.
Okay.
That kind of came a little bit as an image. Yeah. And then, questioning, doubt, or, evaluating part, or whatever we're going to call it. I think this is the one that really wants me to be authentic, is like, um, it's just always there.
Okay. We'll keep working with it. We'll get to know it.
Yeah, I think I really need to.
I personally don't think you can't be authentic.
Yeah. But it really does have this concern about doing things the right way, and if this is the wrong way, and if I come to a conclusion, if I just go by a bunch of memories that I've thought about, and
definitely, we'll look out for that.
Yeah, it's I
His
think
concerns matter.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I need to listen to a little more.
They all need you. They all need that space that you're creating. They all need you to listen.
It's chiming in all the time. But yeah, that is the sense from this other one. It's just that, like, yeah, it's not going to be words.
I imagine that, I'm just guessing, but if you have this part that's doing the climbing the ladder to get dad's attention and all that, I imagine that makes it hard for a part who doesn't have words, for example. I bet that part feels like it's not space for it. I bet that it might also be connected with the doubting. We have to get this right because that's part of climbing that ladder. You got to climb the ladder and then you got to get the thing right.
Yeah, and
so
also
I can
that domain,
just guessing,
that stuff that I was trying to break into, that kind of arena that I was trying to get into, that was all words. Like, it's all words. My dad is
right.
Not, he's so like, it's
right.
He just would be happy making word jokes all day and stuff.
Right.
And it was like, what I don't even remember what they would talk about, but I was just kind of like trying to get in there, and in a way, maybe not. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's just, I felt like enough.
While I'm doing some speculating, if you don't mind, I'm also curious about that lovey-dovey part of you. And if it also maybe got kind of exiled, like maybe it was saying, hey, this lovey-dovey, this affection stuff doesn't get all of what we're looking for. And if that also has, gets kind of muted, dampened, or has some other, just push and pull.
I think that there might be an exile that's quite a bit older, that has to do with that, because that that energy was it was kind of right. It was easy to connect with my dad. He was a funny mix of like being very distant, and then but he could be really like physically affectionate, and also very, like, I remember him being the one to comb my hair. I think maybe my mom couldn't do it, or I wouldn't let her, or whatever. He would be very kind of gentle and loving in some ways, and I could connect with him in that way, if that was I could connect with him that way reliably, and I until kind of, I feel like it was a lot older, like a teen, or when that sort of just shriveled away, not because it wasn't there, but because I couldn't get access to him.
Yeah.
And that was very painful in some different way.
Yep.
So
you
I
can
don't
let those parts know that we'd like to get to know them too.
Yeah. So, but you had sort of, you had said something about did that energy get
shriveled?
Yeah. Maybe much later. Yeah, because it was
we
kind
can
of
find out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it feel like an okay place to stop? I would love to keep getting to know all of these parts in the future, and
this feels like a good place. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great work. I'll send you the call and get you back on the calendar.
Awesome. Thanks, James.
Okay. Take care. Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows? That might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.